Welcome to another edition of DFS and Dynasty. We got you Sunday morning, and it is a great Sunday morning. There's already football on across the pond. Shout out to Terrell Williams for his 75-yard touchdown. Guys, how we doing? Austin, how we feeling this morning, brother?
Man, it is amazing day to be a Michigan fan. Holy crap, dude. I was so happy. I slept in my freaking jersey, man. To see Ohio State go down. Oh man, to beat Michigan State, nothing crazy happened. We had that extra 14 points. I was like, man, somebody's gonna screw something up. And I'm just like, oh, we made it through the fire.
I have a bunch of Purdue in-laws, and I was shouting them out. Man, they were freaking going ecstatic. They were at the game, so which is pretty cool. But I hate Ohio State. I hate Urban Meyer, and so it was awesome to see. I love it, man. Love it. And Steve, man, also a fellow Michigander. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Big W. I get to talk a bunch of shit to my family and friends who all went to East Lansing. Absolutely love it. Phillip Rivers is doing well for two of my fantasy teams. It is a great Sunday morning.
Not for everybody, though, because as you see the live feed, you can see Melvin Gordon on the sideline with his hat on. He is not playing. We tweeted out a couple different things saying to pay attention. I know it's an early game, but hopefully you were able to get them out of your lineups if you had them in there. I had a couple of Thursday through Monday slates that I had them, and I got them out last minute. Thank goodness.
Yeah, so I had a frowny face emoji with all that one too.
There you go. So what we are going to be doing this episode, we are going to be going over lineups, weather, news and notes, what you need to watch for, value plays. Basically, we're going to help you make money. And if you are new to daily fantasy, FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever, head over to eatsleepfantasy.com. That is where we have our lineups for sale. They're just $5 a week. We have crushed it. Last week was our roughest week of the year, but still did all right. And we are looking to bounce back big time. There's a lot of great plays on there. So head over there. Just $5 a week. Now, without further ado, let's get into the weather and what games do we need to stay away from and or target. Austin, the weather lady.
Woo! Weather lady.
I like it.
I'd watch you walk around in a dress. I'll just be honest.
Not gonna lie. Hey. But anyways, there's a lot of weather implications this week, guys. And I'm actually, I always have the phrase think long, think wrong. And I'm actually really rethinking a lot of my lineups this morning. Minnesota at the Jets, winds up to 30 miles an hour. It's gonna make passing and kicking games difficult as I'm actually thinking about fading Curse because he's pretty cheap this week, and now I have Thielen almost stacked everywhere with Gurley, only because I feel I want to be safe as possible. And I'm like, man, I might even want to fade Thielen now. Moving on.
Oh, don't tell me that, man. I got Thielen everywhere.
I do too, but man, 30-mile-an-hour winds. But like I said, we can discuss after I finish my weather later report.
Yeah, and I will say this. I think that whenever you see the wind, you want to check your outside receivers. It hurts them the most, then slot guys. So it doesn't affect the slot guys as much, but it does affect them in the passing game.
Okay, and then all three Florida games have a chance for thunderstorms, but the worst one is the Houston at Jacksonville. Their winds up to 15 miles an hour. Bortles, Watson, Hopkins are just a few of the names that have concern there, maybe. I mean,
it's going to be like a 6-turnover game, I promise.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, lower than what they predicted. But like I said, it's later on. Carolina at Philly, winds up to 20 miles an hour. Just like, it seems like it's going to be the phrase of the week for most games. And then Rams at 49ers, gusts up to 15 miles an hour. It's the least of my concerns. But here's one for you guys. Breeze is playing in breezy conditions, and he does not do well in outdoor climates. He's playing against a team he's never beat. I definitely have Breeze in a couple lineups as one of the
never beaten Baltimore?
He's never, ever beaten Baltimore, ever. So there you go. So what do you think of that? With the climates,
That's awesome. I here's my thing, man. Like, I don't have Breeze in any lineups this week. Am I crazy?
No, I don't have any exposure to New Orleans in general. I mean,
really?
I have Mark Ingram in a couple tournaments just because he's the cheaper of the running backs, but they're going into Baltimore. Well, we've talked about a couple weeks ago when Breeze was on the road, how I feel about him.
Yep.
Kamara played well. Michael Thomas did decent PPR wise, but if I'm having any exposure to any of the Saints, it's going to be on the ground, and Ingram being the cheaper option. That's wrong. I don't even have Kamara. I don't have Michael Thomas. I don't have any of them guys. Baltimore's defense has been playing good, like really good, and look at what they did last week. And again, New Orleans is coming into their house. So I don't think it's crazy to not have them in there.
I like it.
I have them. I definitely was. This might be the game where you hear like Breeze has never ever beaten them, and this might be the statement game for them, saying, you know what, motherfuckers, I got this one. So y'all piss off.
A steal.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. I mean, and he still needs that touchdown. So,
all right. Well, let's jump right into it. Let's go over some of this kind of news and notes and what we got going on right off the bat, man. Lots of big news and late injuries. New England's always going to screw us over with injuries because that's just who they are. Gronk is out. We got news on Friday. He tweaked his back, and then we got news yesterday that he didn't travel, but he still might go. But it seems official. He is not going to be playing. Steve, man, walk me through this and who this affects positively and negatively and all that stuff.
Well, what bums me out about this situation is you don't have Gronk in the lineup. On the Bears side of the ball, you're not going to have a healthy Khalil Mack. So that already kind of bums me out about this game. Now, what I think this is going to do is this is going to open things up more for Julian Edelman underneath. You're still going to see Josh Gordon be involved on the outside, and he can even get underneath as well. I think those are your two primary upticks and targets. I still think you're going to see James White involved as he would be. And if Khalil Mack is not 100% healthy, I won't be surprised if they really try to attack them on the ground and get Sony Michel going the way that he's been playing the last couple of weeks. So the only thing that sucks about Gronk being out is with Sony Michel and that run game is you lose a very key blocker as well. So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out, but this does affect both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and even outside of that, there's some rumors going around that Josh Gordon might not play. Austin, have you heard much about this? I know that you're pretty big on them.
No, there's nothing come across the feeds as far as Josh Gordon not playing.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything either.
Yeah, I hadn't even seen him questionable, so yeah.
That team, man, I swear, if you pull up their practice report, it's just like 20 players who are all questionable. They send in the exact same form for every player, like you're supposed to list. Like they list, like, did they participate in individual drills? Did they participate in team drills? Nope, none of that for New England. They do not care. They're just like questionable. Everybody, even Bill Belichick, is questionable. So,
oh man, God, I'm sorry, dude. This is funny. I just refreshed Roto World. All right, James Conner fans, John Connor, James Conner, whatever the hell you want to call him. Le'Veon Bell, more likely to hold out until week 9.
No, there you go.
Well, that doesn't help Connor. He's going to be out anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
So fire up. Who's there? Stephen Ridley?
Yeah.
Well, they're on a bye this week, but you're going to get week 8 out of them now. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, man, come on. Why did he say he's going to report Monday? Almost like you can't trust what he says. Weird. All right.
Man, have you guys seen how much money Bell has lost? Man,
yeah.
that's crazy.
$850,000 a week a game.
Yeah.
I know what that's like as a teacher. Now, moving on. Carlos Hyde, we had a huge trade go down in the middle of the week, which again has a lot more injury implications as well. So Carlos Hyde gets dealt for a 5th-round pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So first, let's focus on the immediate results of this and the Cleveland Browns. So, Steve, Cleveland Browns, man, I feel like this is just a major uptick for Chubb and Duke Johnson. Which one it's got to benefit Chubb more, right?
I think this benefits Chubb a lot more, and I think Duke Johnson's gonna have his role back. It was very difficult for them to get him any touches, and he's proven to be a part of that offense, having all 3 of those guys there. So somebody had to move. Carlos Hyde was the eventual guy. I mean, you get a 5th rounder in return, whatever. But this definitely, I see Chubb getting a big uptick and Duke Johnson's role being re-implemented to what it was before. What it tells me on the Jacksonville side of this trade is that you might be seeing Leonard Fournette go on IR. They already have Corey Grant on IR. They have no other depth whatsoever. If Hyde suits up this week, I'll be surprised, which maybe I won't be surprised, because if they don't have that depth there, they made a big push to get his physical pass yesterday, got him in the walkthrough, gave him a crash course on the playbook. So they need bodies. They do. They need bodies outside of TJ Yeldon in that backfield. So going forward after this season, it's hard to say what they'll do with Hyde because Fournette is the guy there. I'm not sure what TJ Yeldon's contract situation's like, but giving up a 5th rounder, even if it's for a 1-year rental, I think it's a good deal for both teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The prices, on these Cleveland running backs, you got Duke Johnson at 5,100 on FanDuel, and then you got Chubb at 48. You can't. I would have no problem getting either one of these two guys in there. I got Chubb and a few, but and that's the thing. Like they're not winning this year, and they wanted to get the rookie up to date, and he hasn't been getting many snaps, but what he's done very, very well with. Now, on the Jacksonville side, I don't think that Carlos Hyde's going to get a lot of carries this week. Did this affect your play or how many shares you had of TJ Yeldon, or do you have none of him this week?
No, I still have Yeldon, but I do have a single lineup with Hyde in it, and crazy stack, Duke and Chubb in there with the QB. So, because I honestly think Duke Johnson's going to, in PPR formats, is going to be the better choice here. So, and at 5,100, you're really not hurting yourself when it comes to cost.
Yeah, I like it too. And that's the big reason why I faded on Carlos Hyde, is because he's still priced on his feature back workload. And that's why I think, Duke and Chubb are so great, because they're priced so low, and they're going to get a lot of work against that Tampa Bay defense, just because Tampa Bay defense is awful. Even their front seven's great, but they've got a lot of injuries. They're going to have some people out. So let's jump over to the Jets. We talked a little bit about the weather and Curse in a surprise move this week. They cut Terrell Pryor, and this is right after they lost Quincy Enunwa for about 4 to 6 weeks with an ankle sprain. Man, I can't love Curse more than I do. So I need Austin. I'm pretty sure you're the negative guy here. So let's do this. Talk me into getting Curse out of my lineups, because I have him. I'm so exposed to Curse this week.
I know, because he's cheap. I mean, he is 5,000 cheap. Yeah, he is cheap, but I'm telling you, 30-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, they're going to either overthrow them. They're not going to. They're just going to. I honestly think this is going to be a run game. And I'm just real quick trying to check the over-under. I don't have it in front of me, but it's not even supposed to be a high-scoring game.
46 points.
Yeah, so it's like it's one of those games where I'm telling you, week 10, I'm not putting a lot of money into the main lineup this week. I think I'm going to pull a Steven and just play the late and into Monday. But I'm fading Curse. I'm not touching them.
Oh, I love it, man. I can't wait to. Here's what's going to happen. Either one, I'm going to make a lot of money this week, or two, I'm going to not make a lot of money and have to say, Austin, you were right. And I care way more about that than losing money. So next week on Tuesday, we are going to have to update you on our Cursathon. I think that's a new thing. That's what we should title this episode. This is a Cursathon. So, Steve, can you break the tie here? To curse or not to curse?
I'm playing Curse everywhere. I'm playing Curse everywhere, just because even with the wins, though, going back to a point that you made, we were going through the weather. Slot guys are still viable when you have conditions like this, and Curse is stepping into that Enunwa role. Okay, Robbie Anderson is a guy that I'm going to be going back through some lineups and replacing, because I threw him in cheap in some spots, and just in case he did catch one of those, deep ones and just take it to the house, get all those points there that nobody would even think about to get, like he did a couple weeks ago. But Curse is going to be that guy. He's going to be that individual role. So with those wins, I don't think impacts him all that well. So I'm playing Curse everywhere.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I am too, just the price. I mean, shoot, if he gets 4 catches for 40 yards, I feel like he is returning value at that price. So
his value is more relevant in DraftKings than it is in FanDuel.
Yeah. What's his price on FanDuel?
5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he needs 10 points. I mean, just to make value. That's
it.
Yeah. No thanks.
All right. All right. Let's move on to some good news. Maybe let's go over a couple of guys that are back that we didn't think would be. Right off the bat, the Falcons, man, they were looking like they would be down at least one, possibly two wide receivers. But both Sanu and Ridley seem to be good to go, which, I mean, it's needed. This team is awful as far as win-loss record with Atlanta. So who are we targeting here? Because I feel like I can't get enough in. This is the late Monday night game, and they're playing, they're at home versus the New York Giants, and they seem to be full throttle on offense. Man, Austin, tell me, if you had to pick one player at their price, who are you going with for the Atlanta wide receivers? Obviously, we got Julio up top, then we got Ridley, then Sanu.
I think I'm going Sanu here because when I'm putting my lineups together, I'm more focused on Kansas City and Cincinnati's wide receivers. So as far as for someone cheap, I am focused on Hooper and Sanu right now to save me a little bit of money, just so I can get some of the the Boyds and the Hills and stuff like that in there, because I'm not even touching the wide receivers for the Giants right now either until they fire Eli. So
yeah, I like it. Mohamed Sanu is at 5,800. Then we got Calvin Ridley. His wonderful self is at 6,400. And then Julio, he is all the way up top. He is sitting at 8,700. I love Sanu this week just because, again, they don't play much defense for the Giants. And I think Jackrabbit's going to be out there on Julio as much as possible, but that's not going to affect him in a negative way. I love everybody that plays for Atlanta's offense. That's all I'm saying. Even Ito and even Tevin Coleman in some lineups. I don't mind it at all. Staying with this game, let's see here. Steve, Evan Ingram seems to be back. He practiced last week, and they held him out just in case, but he's been practicing this week as well. It seems like he's good to go. Does this, man, I feel like it can't affect Odell any worse. Does it help anybody?
If anything, I think it can help. And I mean, and that's by a long shot from what we've seen in this offense, because the existence of Saquon Barkley and what that guy has been able to do has not helped out this offense. However, last year when all the wide receivers were out, Evan Ingram and Eli Manning played well together. Evan Ingram was able to thrive, and he was a threat. So maybe this opens something up for the offense with him being back. It's hard to say, but I don't think it can't get any worse than it is right now, in my opinion. So
I made the prediction on my NFL Express pod with Charles that I think Eli Manning has 2 weeks left, and that is it. I think Kyle Lauletta time is right around the corner.
Wow.
And if they lose this one, they're basically out of the playoffs. So I think, their division is terrible, but if they cannot produce against this terrible defense, then I really do think we might see Kyle Lauletta today, next week, or after the bye. I think it's coming.
Well, what's crazy is that, they benched him for Eli that one game last year, which broke his record, brought it back, and, whatever, they still suck. So at this point in time, with where they're at and what he's been doing, what do you really have to lose? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get your rookie in there. I mean, he's the guy that you selected as to look at as part of your future. Get him in there. Eli's just doing nothing but hurting himself in his career and the team at this point.
Yeah, he's making some money, so that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Austin, what do you think, man?
I don't know. Looking at all the tight ends for that situation, I mean, the only one you're going to save money on, and we're talking like $300, is Azuma, or whatever you say his name.
Yeah.
Because even Ingram's already priced at $5,700, which is, in my opinion, surprising for someone who's been out for 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, why? I just didn't understand why FanDuel priced him so high, just coming off something. But he might be someone good just to throw in a lineup or two, just so you have exposure, because you only have so many choices. So,
and I feel like the person that this hurts the most is Sterling Shepard.
Yeah.
His target share and production since Evan Ingram has been out has just shot through the roof, and I think it comes back down to return to norm type of a thing. So, all right, let's go through Austin again, our game expert. Let's go over some over-unders and if there's been any movement and why. Just kind of run us through some of these games real quick.
So, minimal movement this week. I mean, compared to the past 6 weeks, like we're talking very small amounts. And then most of them are going down in scores for over-unders. I mean, the highest right now in the main slate, Bucks at Browns, 52 points. Rams at 49ers, 52 points. So those would be the two games right now to get the most exposure. And I mean, but you're talking Gurley, and then you figure the Browns, because they're so cheap. And then the low games is the Texans at Jags at 41.5 and Cowboys at Redskins 41.5. So they're predicting that there won't be a high scoring game on this one either. I know the Skins got a good defense, but I'm still pushing a couple lineups with Zeke this week. As far as Texans and Jags, I'm kind of staying away from this one a little bit, minus the Jaguars defense. So
I love both of these defenses actually. And which is weird. The game's at 41.5, but I'm just telling you, Blake Bortles, the way he's looked the past 2 weeks, he looks like the Blake Bortles of old. And then even with that offensive line, the worst offensive line in the NFL against the Jags defense, they're going to play pissed off. So all that stuff's kind of there. So I like both of those considerably. Now, the late game, real quick, you said that you love this late slate, Steve. Walk me through and kind of tell me why you like the Sunday night and Monday night game so much.
Just because of the type of talent that's going to be in these games. I mean, Sunday night, you're looking at Cincinnati, KC. Monday night, the Giants I don't care about, but Atlanta's good as there's so much talent there, right? So the Sunday night game I have a ton of exposure to between Kareem Hunt, love Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, AJ Green. With, for example, like some of the lineups that I swapped out today on my Thursday through Mondays, with Melvin Gordon being hurt, I was able to toss Eckler in there and then upgrade one of my wide receivers to AJ Green. There's just so much firepower there that you could really capitalize on with your lineups. Going back to earlier when you were talking about Sanu and Ridley, I mean, the biggest guy that I've been targeting in that offense was Austin Hooper. It's hard to say if Sanu or Ridley is hindered by their injuries at all. I don't know. But what Hooper has done the last couple of weeks and what he did, in their absence last week when they exited the games with injuries, I just love him in that matchup this week. So, again, there's just a ton of talent to build lineups around between those two games.
Yeah, I like it. All right, let's jump over to Stacks. Brought to you by Stacks. We love playing Stacks. It's a very, very easy way to, whenever you have, how you do maximize basically your return on investment. And so we're going to go through each one of us and give our favorite stack. Any two players, it could be 3, 4. You can go all the way up and just stack basically the entire offense, which works sometimes if there just seems to be a crazy offensive production. If you think about the Chiefs, so on and so forth. Now, I'll start us off. I'm a homer. We all know that. But I love value, and I do not pay up for the quarterback position. I never pay up for the quarterback position. So I am stacking my 49ers, CJ Beathard, and Goodwin, Marquise Goodwin. They are both super, super cheap. CJ Beathard is $6,400, one of the cheapest starting quarterbacks this week, and he has put up 17, 20, 17 in his 3 starts so far, and it's going to be a shootout. They're going to have to throw the ball to keep up with the Rams. I don't think that they will, but they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. I don't think they'll keep up. And then Goodwin, of course, FanDuel has not caught up with his pricing after that Monday night game. It seems like they set the pricing at $5,500, which is super cheap. He's the number 1 wide receiver on this team that airs it out with a great offensive scheme and can score a touchdown at any point. He put up over 22 points last week. I love this stack because it gives me the extra price to load up on running backs and get those high-priced guys like Gurley and Zeke and all those guys up in my lineup. So let's go to Austin. What is your favorite stack you got this week?
I couldn't find one that I really, really liked. Most of my lineups, when I looked at all of them that I'm going to play, it's Gurley, Thielen, and Gabriel is the guys is what I'm calling a stack. But if I had to build a stack that's contrarian, it'd probably be like Darnold, Anderson, and Curse, because you guys are so high in that. It's almost like, ugh. And I can afford to get Thielen too. So
yeah, I love volume. When volume and cheap prices go together, I freaking pee myself. So that's why I like it. But also I have dietary issues. So let's go over to Steve. What is your favorite stack that you got going on?
I like Tampa Bay this week. I like seeing Winston with Godwin. More so, tell me if I'm crazy here, but Evans with Winston, it's not always been the greatest. Yes, sure, they've had their games, but Evans has had more success with Fitzpatrick, in my opinion. But I like Godwin and OJ Howard with Jameis Winston.
Interesting.
I really do. Because your tight end and your wide receiver, you're getting guys that could see significant volume, and you're getting them at a cheaper price, and you could pay up for other guys with the matchups that we have this week.
Yeah, and that's the thing. What I'm looking for with different lineups is finding value so I could stock up on those guys that are guaranteed, and that's kind of what I'm wanting. All right, so and that's what this does. So let's just move forward real quick, Austin. Let's walk through a couple value plays or just one value play at each position, just in case, worst case scenario, you get the late, so-and-so's out and you didn't expect it. Who are some cheap guys that we could plug in across the position? We've already talked about a lot of these guys in a worst case scenario.
I'm looking right now, Chubb, and then he's 4,800. He's definitely a good punt if you need to get somebody in there who's going to get a lot of volume this week on the ground. You got to remember, too, that Duke Johnson's right behind him. He's a little bit more, I think, is what I got it. But Nick Chubb would be the guy I'd punt to. And then another guy I'm looking at, because with the Ginn injury going on IR, what are your thoughts on Cam Meredith?
Yeah, I don't mind it. He hasn't seen the target share that we were hoping for, since he's come back. But again, you've got to get value in this offense. Just says a lot. And whoever gets it, the difference is him and Traquan Smith, right?
I think it's going to be Traquan, in my opinion.
And again, the targets haven't been there for Traquan either. He's just, if we go back to the record-breaking game of Drew Brees, like that was the guy that day. He didn't get a lot of targets, but he took 2 of them to the house. So, like, if you can figure out who's going to get the volume, I think both have fantasy relevance. I really.
Smith only had 6 targets. So.
It's who's going to get it outside of the big 3 in Ingram, Thomas, and Kamara.
Meredith doesn't have very many more. He's at 10 targets.
Yeah, I don't know.
He has more yards.
That's going to get involved. They want to get him involved, and with Ginn being out, this is going to be the opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. You've got to, if you've been paying attention to this team and you have a feel of who out of those 2 guys is going to be the guy, take a chance on them. Where I wouldn't put either one of them in a 50-50 lineup just because I don't know and the volume's not there. But if you want to take a chance on a home run swing and think that Cam Meredith goes off with Ted Ginn gone, man, no problem. Qualifier, whatever, no problem. Now, for quarterback, as I said, CJ is kind of one of the cheapest that is going to have that volume and kind of safety, especially a lot of people don't know his rushing stats have been legit. And so that helps his floor out considerably. And my long shot of the week, David Greenidge. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. Jacksonville's tight end. They are down to their 4th tight end, but they do target him. He's going to be getting the start. He's only $4,000 on FanDuel. So I love to punt the tight end position. I do have a few lineups with him in. Just again, I punt the quarterback, I punt the tight end, and usually defenses as well, just so I could load up on those running backs that never miss out, the 100% tried and true guys. So that's what we're going to do there. And Steve, do you have any other guys that like we're totally missing here that we need to plug in last minute that are super cheap?
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of the guys that we've targeted super cheap, we have seen their value go up in recent weeks. And, with Anunua going down, Curse is perfect. Obviously the situation with the trade in Cleveland, Chubb and Duke Johnson there, those are huge, but quarterback, tight end, those guys are kind of what the heck as far as we're talking about value play. So I don't know. I don't think we're missing anybody here.
Okay. All right. Real quick, I wanted to talk just a little bit. I got a couple questions this week. Basically just saying, hey, I'm new to DFS. I don't know what tournaments to play. And so I said, one, don't play tournaments if you're new to DFS. Those are extra. You can definitely do them. But here's what I do, okay? The most simple way is I build a 50-50 lineup, one with no risk, so on and so forth. And again, if you want to see those lineups, head over to eatsleepfantasy.com. They're $5. We'll make you back what you pay there. And we play all those lineups. So it's not like we're trying to pull one over anybody. We win, you win. That's kind of what we're about. And so what I do is there's no gambling on 50-50 lineups. I plug in value plays at quarterback, tight end, defense, and I overpay for the top running backs, and I focus on targets whenever I'm looking at wide receivers. Now, let's just say I play a $5 50-50 lineup, which means I'm going to win $9. Anytime I play a 50-50, I am projecting to win that. Again, you just have to finish in the top half. So what I'm going to do is I'm projecting to bring back $9 into my bankroll. So what I will do is I will divide that 9 winnings on a $2 qualifier, trying to get into a more expensive tournament next week, a $2 1-versus-1, a $2 single entry tournament where I never play multi-entry tournaments unless I'm wanting to put in about 15 lineups myself, but I don't recommend that if you are starting. So I'll do a single entry tournament and then a $2 multiplier where basically if I finish in the top third, it triples my money, so on and so forth. Now, and so what I do there is I'm projecting to win 9 with my 50-50, and then I have $8 allocated out through tournaments, qualifiers, 1-versus-1s, and all of that is just extra. So in a worst case scenario for me, I'm winning my 50-50 and I'm walking away with $1 profit and everything else is just extra. Now, however, that really never works. Usually I win multiple ones of those. And in the rare case that I do put up, somebody gets injured in the first quarter, so on and so forth, I'm playing about 10 to 15 active lineups a week that I feel confident about. And that's how I do it. So, and you can adjust the percentage. However, if I'm doing a $10 50-50 that I feel really good about, I'm projected to win 18. So what I'm going to do is allocate about $15 out through tournaments and multipliers, so on and so forth, and substitute those kind of low ceiling, low floor plays in my 50-50 with guys that have more upside. So I don't know, Austin, you're kind of a bankroll guy too. What do you think about that? And any suggestions for people out there that are like, man, I'm new to this, but I love it. What should I target?
It's just like, we talked about in the beginning of the season. It's like walking into a casino. You're not going to put everything all into one slot machine. I mean, you want to spread it out, kind of get exposure to everything. I feel the same way as far as spreading the bankroll out, but there's weeks. The only thing I would add to what you said is there's weeks like this one to where I wouldn't play as much as I have, just based on the slate and who's playing during the main slate. I'll save my money for a week to where there's so many more. What was the word I'm looking for? There's better players out there that I can choose from to make a lineup that I feel more comfortable with. Instead of looking at these guys going, are you kidding me? I mean, yeah. It's just sick this week. So,
and trust yourself. I really do feel like that's the thing. If you don't feel good about it, don't risk it. This is your money you're playing with. It's not ours. And so make sure that you are paying attention to, man, I love this play this week. Go ahead and get it out there. Stock up on that. It's weird. I really do believe in confidence and kind of believing in yourself. And whenever you limp in and you're just like, oh, I guess I'll do this, it usually never goes well. So that's just me. Steve, any, I don't know, I guess advice / man, what type of contest to target for people that are new to DFS?
So for me, and like even just, with Austin's point this week with how everything is separated, in a week like this, I have most of my exposure in Thursday through Monday, and then just playing the Sunday night and the Monday night game. I played a little bit on the Thursday night game. Getting into 50-50s is the best way to make your bankroll. It really is. You can come out on top with money quicker than you think. And as you adapt and get more comfortable with DFS, you can get yourself in the various tournaments, whether you want to do a single entry or multi-entry. But what I like to do tournament-wise on the on the late night games is get myself into qualifiers for, getting into the $1 million tournaments, whatever placing in that top third, getting a free ticket in. I mean, those are $10 plays. So even if you win that, technically you still won money. You won $10. You won a free entry into a big tournament. And then you can settle in and give yourself the opportunities to really look at the lineups, really look at your matchups, adjust as the week goes on with injuries, weather, so on and so forth, and give yourself a solid opportunity to compete and place and win some money. So that's kind of the way I generally attack it on a weekly basis, but I'm doing that more so this week and last week because we had a lot of firepower in all the primetime games. So that's just kind of the way that I take an angle at it from a weekly basis.
I like it. Hey, one thing I'll say is I do not pay up for tournaments. I will pay up for qualifiers, but for example, like I'm not going to put $5 on a tournament play. What I will do is I will pay $1 for a qualifier into that tournament. So for example, I have 9 I find different tournaments that I want to target. So I won 9 $5 qualifying tournaments for this week into the moneymaker. So like I maybe paid $15 and won in all these qualifiers to maximize my bankroll because I don't want to gamble with my money. I'm going to put my money on 50-50s and then try to maximize that into tournaments. I'm not paying up for tournaments. I think that's gambling personally. So before we jump off, any closing thoughts? Mine is let's go Curse. I do not want to say Austin. Right? Let's go Curse. Austin, any parting words, sir?
Hey, just keep an eye on the weather. It's just one of those weeks to where I think it's going to be the ground game, and do not fade Latavius Murray.
Yeah, get him in there. Get him in there. Steve, parting thoughts.
Team Curse. Team
Curse.
Curse. I like Thielen too. Play him.
Yeah, he's good at football.
These windy games, don't be afraid of slot receivers. Don't be afraid of tight ends. Slot receivers, tight ends, ground game, fade quarterbacks.
I like it.
That's
and Steve has never been afraid of a tight end that he has seen. Take care, guys.